Peace, family. As in Moorish tradition, Moorish American tradition, we first rise and give honor where honor is due. We give praise to the Almighty Creator, who we call Allah. So I will first like to rise and give honors to the Moorish Science Temple of America, honors to all the brothers and sisters in the struggle, no matter what you call yourselves or what organization you're a part of. I would like to give honors to our illustrious Prophet Noble Ali, and I would like to give praise to the Almighty Creator, Universal Creator, Allah. So today I'm going to give a demonstration from out of the Moorish doctrine, but I would like to first start with the source, Prehistoric Nations by John D. Baldwin, to start it off. So in page 56, the chapter is in early civilization in Arabia. So in studying the influence of this more ancient culture and seeking to discover the source from which it proceeded, we are led to Arabia and into a people known in remote antiquity as Ethiopians and Cushites. It is evident, by the way, this book was written in 1875. It is evident that in ages older than Egypt or Chaldea, ages away in the past, far beyond the limit of Usher's chronology, Arabia was the seat of an enlightened and enterprising civilization, which went forth into the neighboring countries and spread its influence from the extremity of the east, from the east to the extremities of the west. At that time, Arabia was the exalted and wonderful Ethiopia of old tradition. He also goes on to say that the biblical Ethiopia is actually Arabia. So, and now we go to the Moorish doctrine. Chapter 47 of the Moorish Quran, because we have our own Quran in the Moorish Science Temple of America, which is a religious organization. So this is our personal Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, divinely prepared and put together, tailor-made for the Moorish Americans in America. So it is stated in chapter 47. In chapter 47, the inhabitants of Africa are the descendants of the ancient Canaanites from the land of Canaan. Old man Cush and his family are the first inhabitants of Africa who came from the land of Canaan. His father Ham and his family were second. Then came the word Ethiopia, which means the demarcation line of the dominion of Amexem, the first true and divine name of Africa, the dividing of the land between the Father and the Son. Then in the Moorish Quran questions for the Moorish children, it is asked, what does Ethiopia mean? Ethiopia means something divided. It is also asked, where is the Garden of Eden? In the land of Canaan, in the city of Mecca. So we know Mecca is also in Arabia. So the biblical Garden of Eden from the Moorish doctrine, in particular, the Moorish doctrine, is stating that the Garden of Eden is in the city of Mecca, which is Arabia. So it's stating that the Garden of Eden is Arabia. It's other sources that I'm trying to save time in this video, so it's a lot more to it that I will have to put in here, but the video will be hours. So I'm going to try to shorten this up, and maybe we'll do a part 2, or depending on the response. So now we go back to Prehistoric Nations. John D. Baldwin stated in reference to the word Ethiopia. He said Ethiopia was to the Greeks perhaps really a foreign word, corrupted. You know how y'all say Greek means burnt face? Well, he's stating that is corrupted, and Ethiopia doesn't even originate with the Greeks. This is what John D. Baldwin is saying. Others might say something different, but these are the particular sources that I'm using for this particular video. So he stated that it's really a foreign word, corrupted. He went on to say the Greeks themselves used the appellation as a sacred term in the religious vocabulary they had received from the Phoenicians and the Egyptians. So he's saying they received this religious vocabulary in reference to Ethiopia from the Phoenicians and the Egyptians. Okay. Took notes here from out of these sources. So it is supposed to have originated by what is called the serpent worship of the Cushites. This is all in reference to the word Ethiopia, which most of us think means burnt face. So John D. Baldwin also noted that the appellation had a religious significance, but no reference whatsoever to complexion. He later mentioned that Arabia was the original Ethiopia, or land of Kush. Noble Drew Ali stated that Ethiopia means something divided. Okay, so this is what Noble Drew Ali mentioned reference to the word Ethiopia. It means something divided. So now we're going to substantiate this claim. The Greek author, known as Homer, described the Ethiopians as divided and dwelling at the ends of the earth towards the setting and the rising sun. Strabo, a Greek historian, favors the following. The Ethiopians were considered as occupying all the south coast of both Asia and Africa, and as divided by the Red Sea. You see? So this is where we get this Ethiopian means something divided or means divided. Because these are people, as we from the beginning of chapter 47 in the Moorish Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple, that the land was divided between Ham and Cush. So that's just, we could say, it's symbolism for these families or for these Kushites and Hamites or whatever you want to call it. But in history, outside of the Bible, evidence has shown that the Ethiopians dwelled in Asia, Arabia, other places, India, all over Asia, and they dwelled to the west in Africa, mainly East Africa, and then spread it out to West Africa, and then other things too, which is I'm not going to get at in this video, maybe in a part 2. They spread out to other places, and there's evidence. So, in the book by Drusilla Houston, The Wonderful Ethiopians of the Ancient Kushite Empire, she hinted at the fact that the Kushites and Canaanites were brothers. So you see, outside of the Moorish doctrine, you can find other sources that say, my son photobombing me, but that say that correspond to what Noble Drew Ali has stated. Now I know all the anthropology and the science, say we all come out of Africa and the oldest bone, but the oldest bones are found in East Africa. East Africa, which is the Red Sea, is the only small little sea that divides Arabia and East Africa. So it was a correspondence. I can't say why bones wasn't older bones as old as what was found in East Africa wasn't found in Arabia, why that wasn't presented, if it was found or not. But I don't put my faith in archaeologists presenting all the entire facts of human history. But ancient literature that was found in Arabian literature, all this is pre-Islamic. So uh, in older literature, other things are stated, that corresponds to a different kind of history than what we are taught in our schools. So you can track down all these sources, and you'll probably come to the same conclusions I come to, or something different. Like I said, other sources say different, but this is the conclusion that I come to. So when I approach this Moorish doctrine, I said I'm gonna challenge Noble Drew Ali's information, and upon challenging it, I found it to be very interesting that other sources have corresponded and substantiated these claims. So with that, I say peace.